Welcome to This Explainer, where we're going to explore the invisible, almost cinematic forces of human behavior and brain science that dictate your everyday life. I mean, have you ever wondered why you act the way you do? Or why certain moments just stick with you forever while others completely fade away? Today, we're unpacking some absolutely profound psychological truths that are operating right under the surface of your conscious awareness. So, let's dive right in by asking a pretty deep question about the subconscious mechanics running in the background of your mind at this exact moment. Who is really in control of your daily choices? You probably think it's you, right? The conscious you, deciding exactly what to eat, who to trust, what projects to take on, or even when to finally hit snooze on that alarm. But modern neuroscience tells a wildly different, far more fascinating story. Our minds are heavily influenced by biological wiring and hidden psychological triggers that secretly dictate how we learn, how we observe, and exactly how we react to the world around us. All right, let's kick things off with Chapter 1, Decoding Your Inner Mind. Okay, so we've all been told to declare our goals to the world, right? Post about that new gym routine on social media to stay accountable, or tell all your friends about a new business idea. Well, psychology actually says the exact opposite. When you share a goal, your brain gets tricked by a premature hit of satisfaction hormones. It literally mimics the exact feeling of real, actual success. Because your brain feels like it already crossed the finish line just by talking about it, it instantly decreases your motivation to do the actual hard work required to get there. So if you want to be truly effective, the science is beautifully clear here. Keep your goals to yourself. Let the results speak, not the intentions. Now get this. Consider the profound difference in how your brain processes language. The University of Chicago actually found that you make far more objective, logical decisions when thinking in a second language. Crazy, right? But why? Because your native language is deeply, intricately intertwined with your raw, childhood emotional wiring. When you evaluate a complex problem in a language you learned later in life, you actually bypass those immediate emotional reactions and activate the purely logical centers of your brain. It's basically a built-in biological hack for clearer thinking and stripping the bias away from your biggest decisions. 0. That is the exact number of things your brain can truly focus on at once if you're trying to multitask. We love to think we can juggle a million things, but multitasking is a complete myth. When you try to read an important email while listening to a complex audiobook, your brain isn't actually doing both simultaneously. It's just rapidly switching back and forth between the two tasks. And this constant, high-speed shifting absolutely destroys your concentration, spikes your stress levels, and drains your mental energy faster than pretty much anything else. True, unbroken focus demands a single target. Moving right along, here is Chapter 2, The Biology of Well-Being. I am so sorry, Sunday sleep-in lovers, but you might think that sleeping 10 to 11 hours on the weekend is a great way to catch up on rest. The reality? It's quite the opposite. Oversleeping severely disrupts your biological clock. See, when you sleep, your brain is actively working to clear out harmful toxins that built up during the day. But if you stay in bed way too long, it actually leaves you feeling more sluggish, groggy, and exhausted than when your head first hit the pillow. A strict 7 to 8 hours is the absolute ideal sweet spot for your brain to repair itself without throwing your entire system completely out of rhythm. We have all been there. Staring at the ceiling at 2 a.m., your mind just racing 100 miles an hour through every possible scenario. If nighttime overthinking is keeping you awake, do this. Physically leave the bed. Go write your chaotic thoughts down on a piece of paper. This simple physical act of transferring worries from your brain to a page makes your mind feel tangibly, literally lighter. And here's a phenomenal psychological trick for you. Even if you get a terrible night of sleep, just mentally convincing yourself that you slept well can actually serve as a placebo. It will noticeably reduce your physical feelings of tiredness the very next day. I mean, the mind is just that powerful. And speaking of powerful resets, just stepping into the raw sunlight after a dark, busy day indoors fundamentally shifts your brain's chemistry. Sunlight isn't just good for catching a tan or getting some vitamin D. It literally acts as an immediate injection of mood-boosting hormones directly into your system. It elevates your emotional well-being instantly. It really is nature's quickest, most accessible therapy for a tired, stressed mind that's been staring at glowing rectangles for hours. Think about what happens chemically when you experience pure joy. You know that feeling when your absolute favorite song comes on? Your brain completely floods your system with dopamine. This chemical hormone creates feelings of profound happiness and deep relaxation. It instantly lifts you out of the darkness and completely changes your physiological state. It's not just you grooving to a nice melody. It is a highly orchestrated chemical release designed by your biology to make you feel incredible and reinforce that positive experience.
Next up is Chapter 3, Reading People and Situations.
Have you ever noticed those subtle little signs when someone might be lying to you? The nervous hands, the tapping feet, an inability to hold direct eye contact? Well, it's not just a behavioral quirk. It's deeply rooted in biology. The act of deception creates immense physical pressure and a profound sense of guilt within the brain. And this internal stress literally leaks out physically into the body's movements. Now, keep in mind, human reactions do vary greatly from person to person, so these signs are fascinating indicators of internal pressure, for sure, but they aren't a universal polygraph test that applies perfectly to every single person. If you need something from someone, the exact phrasing you use changes absolutely everything about the interaction. Never ask if they can do it. Why? Because asking if they can gives them a very easy, socially acceptable out. Instead, make a polite, direct request. Say something like, "Please do it." Human psychology is fundamentally wired for social cohesion, which makes it deeply, uncomfortably difficult for people to say no to a sincere, polite request. It's just a tiny linguistic shift, but it dramatically increases your chances of getting exactly what you need. And that brings us to what I love to call the ultimate character test. If you want a cinematic look right into someone's true soul, just watch how they treat the waiter, the barista, or ordinary retail staff. Power dynamics reveal who we truly are in the dark. It is remarkably easy for someone to be super charming to a boss, an investor, or first date, right? Because there is something to be gained. But how do they treat someone who offers them absolutely zero social leverage? That right there is the unvarnished, authentic truth of their personality. But what about when you are the one under immense pressure? Say you're sitting in the lobby before a high-stakes interview or a massive presentation. Try the anchor trick. Visualizing a long-lost friend or a deeply comforting memory will actually temporarily hijack your nervous system. By forcing your brain to recall a warm, distant, and completely stress-free moment, you forcefully shift your mind away from the current panic and into a place of absolute safety. It buys you those critical, precious seconds of calm you need to regulate your breathing and step into that room with unshakable confidence. And that brings us to our final section, Chapter 4, Memory, Time, and Truth. Let's look at how memory is actually triggered. Have you ever noticed that just a simple waft of a specific perfume or the smell of an old family recipe can violently pull you back in time? I mean, in a fraction of a second, you are suddenly standing back in your grandmother's kitchen or passing a childhood crush in a middle school hallway. This happens because the brain's memory center is biologically and physically wired directly to your olfactory bulb, your sense of smell. Unlike sight or sound, smell skips all the processing filters of the brain and provides the single most direct pathway straight to your past. But as we all know, not all memories are pleasant, right? Have you ever been haunted by a wildly awkward mistake from like 5 years ago while you're just trying to take a shower or having a totally normal conversation? It's absolutely excruciating. But that is just your brain's negative bias hard at work. Your brain is biologically designed to hold on to negative experiences far, far more strongly than positive ones. It's a primal survival tendency. Your mind is forcefully reminding you of that social pain so you don't repeat the exact same mistake and put yourself in future danger. So it's not actually trying to embarrass you, it's just trying to protect you. Now, think about a timeline of any events, like a long meeting or a movie. Notice how we naturally remember the very beginning and the absolute end of the experience while completely blurring or just forgetting the middle? Because our brains manage time and attention exactly this way. Whether you're in a job interview, delivering a presentation, or speaking up in an important meeting, you should always strategically position yourself to go either first or last. If you want to leave a lasting, undeniable mark on people's memory, you have to avoid the forgotten middle at all costs.
And finally, we arrive at the absolute edge of human understanding. There is a growing belief, currently being explored by researchers, that even after the heart stops, the brain remains active for a few final minutes, replaying our deepest, most profound memories in a rapid, beautifully dreamlike sequence. While scientific evidence is definitely still emerging and evolving, we leave you with this final, haunting psychological mystery. It's a beautiful reminder of just how much of the human mind, your mind, remains undiscovered, just waiting to be understood. Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer, and never stop questioning that fascinating world inside your head.